Hello there guys, and welcome to another one of my reviews. Today we are driving the brand new Volkswagen ID.3. This car is set to revolutionize the way we move around the city, the way we use our cars, and what type of energy we use to get around. But before we get there, I want to start with the basics. The design, the exterior design has been created to be as streamlined as possible, to be as efficient as possible, to be as aerodynamic as possible. But I still think it looks cute. I like the LED headlamps. I like the LED bar between the headlamps up front. I like the way the car looks, and it's actually pretty cute. When you unlock it, the headlamps start moving around just like the car was just waking up. Pretty cute, pretty funny. But other than that, you can see that there are not too many character lines on this car. The design is simple, streamlined. It's meant to be functional more than anything. So we don't have any grills up front. There is a small grill at the bottom of the front end, just to keep cold air going into the a radiator that cools the batteries under the floor. But other than that, everything is streamlined. The car we're driving has the optional 20-inch wheels that are also aerodynamically streamlined, so that there's less roll resistance on this car. Around the back, the design is also simple. I like the fact that this car has a two-tone finish, so the most of the body is white, and the the roof and the back of the car are black. So I like this combo. The taillights use LEDs, and they have the IQ light on them, IQ light symbol on them, which means they are part of a new technology pack. I'll talk about that later. So the car looks great, has a tall greenhouse, and in terms of size, it's roughly the same size as a Golf on the outside. In terms of length and width, it's taller than a Golf, and that's understandable since this car rides on a unique platform that was developed by Volkswagen for electric vehicles. And it has to store all the batteries under the floor, so you do sit up higher than in a Golf. As a matter of fact, the car feels like a crossover from behind the wheel, which is an interesting feeling because it's really not a crossover. I mean, the ground clearance is pretty high, but it's not that impressive, but it does give you confidence. It's hard to explain how it feels behind the wheel. What I can tell you is that you do have a commanding view outside. There's great visibility up front and to the sides, and the interior is very spacious and airy. It's brand new. It's not shared with any other car in the segment or in the Volkswagen group right now. The ID.4 is coming out, which will have a similar layout. But for now, at the time of recording, the ID.3 is unique. So it looks really clean cut. The steering wheel feels great to the touch. It has this great shape. I don't like the fact that it has touch sensitive controls on the sides. They are rather fiddly to play with, to control, but I saw that the first time in the E-Class, and I also complained about the fact that it takes a while to get used to them, and even when you do, they don't respond as you would expect them to your inputs. The instrument cluster is small, it's digital, it has 3 windows you can choose from. If you have the navigation system active, it has 3 windows. If not, you only get the speedometer and a battery indicator, and to the left the driving assistant systems and so on. It's hooked up to the steering column, so whenever you're adjusting the steering wheel, it will move with it. That's fine in my book, you can see it clearly. And to the right you have the gear selector. It's not a gear shift lever anymore, it's just a selector. Looks roughly the same as the one on the i3. The materials used inside are not of the best quality, and that's pretty obvious. Everybody's saying it because it's true. The fit and finish is okay, it's up to par with the Volkswagen standards, but the materials are not great. And I'm referring to the plastic used on the top part of the doors and the bottom side of the doors. The middle sides are okay, they have leather on and some plastic bits at times, but that's about it. Also, the dash is made out of some rough plastics and the middle portion is made of soft touch plastics, which actually clearly says that Volkswagen did this on purpose. It cut costs in this area because the car has a lot of technology on board and it has to offset some of the costs. The infotainment screen works great. It's just like a tablet. You have a home button over here, which gets you to the main options. It's easy to use, no issues there. I don't like the fact that everything here is touch sensitive. I mean, in terms of physical buttons, you are very limited in the car. You have this park button over here, and the window buttons and the mirror adjusting buttons, but that's about it. Everything else is touch sensitive. I mean, if that's what they thought would work, that's fine by me. It gets some getting used to, and I hate the fact that at night, the volume slider here is not lit up. Neither is the temperature gauge, so you don't really know where you have to place your finger to adjust those settings. In terms of space up front, there's plenty of space. There's plenty of space in the back as well. What I do want to mention is that the passengers in the back do sit a bit up high, so they have a very good view up front. I guess that was more of a technical thing to do because we have the engine in the back and the battery pack, so everything is layered over there. In the right beneath us, we have a huge battery, which means the floor is completely flat, and they also had to lower this center console. So to make sure you get an armrest, they fixed these things, which are adjustable, but if you have a wider back, they might not be the most comfortable choice. But we have plenty of storage spaces. We have a wireless charger over here. Very practical car, very practical layout inside this car. Plenty of space too. So what about the specs? Well, the battery on this car, we have the ID3 first edition model. So this has a battery of 58 kilowatt hour, which is like the middle choice in the range right now. And that means you also can get a larger battery, a 77 kilowatt hour battery, or a smaller battery, a 45 kilowatt hour battery. But they are not available in every market out there. They are available in certain markets in combination with certain motors. So the car we're driving has the 58 kilowatt hour battery and the 204 horsepower motor. You can also get a 126 horsepower motor or a 145 horsepower motor. So the combination between the battery sizes and the motors varies from country to country. My choice would be would depend on the way I decide to use this car. So if you're going to use it around town mainly, just get the 145 horsepower motor with the 58 kilowatt hour battery. I think that would be enough. If you're going to use it for longer trips, get the 77 kilowatt hour battery and the 204 horsepower motor, because it will prove helpful when it comes to overtaking. Driving this car is actually very familiar. If you've ever driven an electric car, this will feel familiar, but it will also feel weird for a Volkswagen, because Volkswagen hasn't made a rear-driven car with the motor at the back for a long time. So this car has the motor at the back and it's rear-wheel drive. The last time Volkswagen did this was in the original Beetle. As a matter of fact, the name of the car, ID3, the 3 in the name, comes from Volkswagen claiming that this is the third revolutionary model they launched. The first one was the original Beetle, which broke all sorts of records over time. The second one was the Golf, and now it's this. This is supposed to be like the evolution of the Golf into electric mainstream territory. So yeah, it drives really interesting. You can have a lot of fun with it. The rear end wheel spin, it's quite interesting. You have 3 driving modes: Eco, Comfort, and Sport mode. In Sport mode, everything livens up and it feels really nice. Yeah, you can actually have fun, quite a lot of fun in this car. And it's one of the few models with rear-wheel drive in this segment. The other one I can think of is the BMW i3, which offers a lot less for the same money. Well, I guess having a premium badge on the boot does help. I mean, the interior of the i3, to be fair, is a lot better, and the i3 is a lot more eco-friendly and so on. So yeah, there are reasons to go for the BMW. Speaking of eco-friendliness, this car is carbon neutral, according to Volkswagen. I just wanted to point that out. Yeah, so what about the energy consumption? Well, overall, during my time with the car, I saw an average of around 20 kilowatts per 100 kilometers covered. That would give you a range of about 300, almost 300 kilometers with a battery charge. That's pretty good if you ask me, but it's not exactly the 420 kilometers claimed by Volkswagen according to WLTP charge, according to the WLTP measuring system. The thing is, during my time with the car, the temperatures were rather low, around 4 degrees Celsius, so this would be like a worst case scenario, if you will, in terms of power consumption. In terms of recharging, well, it depends on what kind of charger you're going to use and what kind of battery you have on the car. Up to the 58 kilowatt hour battery, you get a maximum charging power of 100 kilowatts. If you get the 77 kilowatt hour battery, you can charge up to 125 kilowatts. But those fast chargers are not everywhere. Most of the time you will be using a Type 2 charger, and in that case the car can recharge you with up to 11 kilowatts. So the charging time will vary depending on the charger you are using. If you're using a 11 kilowatt charger, that would be about 9 hours, no, about 6 hours, quite a lot. Then if you're going to use the 50 kilowatt charger, then you have a charging time of around 1 hour and 15 minutes. And if you're using a 100 kilowatt charger, the 0 to 80%, you could get up to 80% charge in about half an hour. So that's quite amazing. And anyway, the car recommends you charge the batteries up to 80% at most to protect them over longer periods of time. What's the conclusion about the ID.3? Well, I like it a lot, and I think it has the potential to become revolutionary. This will be the first car made by a mainstream manufacturer, one of the biggest actually in the world, because Volkswagen and Toyota are trading blows every year in terms of volumes. So they are the biggest competitors out there. And Volkswagen is the first one to adopt this electric car madness. And if they're bet on this platform, because the ID.3 rides on a whole new platform which costs a lot of money to make, if their bet proves to be successful, this car will revolutionize the way we drive and the way we exploit our cars. It will become a mainstream option, and that's huge. The main reason why that could happen is because Volkswagen has all the infrastructure it needs to deliver on every single relevant metric. So we've heard about Tesla and their success. So everybody wants a Tesla. Tesla electric cars are great and so on. But the problem is Tesla doesn't have the infrastructure, the support, the production capacity to keep up with the demand and transform its cars into a mainstream option. Volkswagen definitely has this. It has the plants, it has the production capacity, and it has dealers all around the world in every single country you can think of that can provide support for these cars. If you buy a Tesla, you might be surprised to find out that there's no dealer around you to help you out whenever you have a problem. I won't even mention the fact that, God forbid, something breaks on your car and you have to replace it. Stocks may not be replenished for long periods of time. So you might have to wait for a stoplight, for example, or for a stalker or for an indicator for prolonged periods of time. And that makes owning a Tesla kind of a bad deal for a lot of people. But with Volkswagen, all those issues are reduced to none because they have the infrastructure, the capacity to deliver a good product and support for that product on the longer haul. So yeah, I think if the ID.3 proves to be a sales success, it will indeed be a third revolutionary car from Volkswagen once again. That said, this has been my review of the Volkswagen ID3. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share, and of course subscribe. Write down a comment telling me your optics on this car, your opinion, if you like it or if you don't, if you think it's going to revolutionize the industry and if it's going to make electric cars mainstream. Don't forget to feed your passions. Until next time, ciao.